All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Big Marley 3 from SHIPIT Nation here to break down the Week 18 NFL Afternoon Slate for you guys. Before we get into that, I want to mention that our friends over at Drafters are back in action with Playoff Best Ball. They have a $20 contest available right now, and it has a $250,000 prize pool with $50,000 going to first place. Yesterday, it was only 30% full, so there could be lots of overlay. Go sign up, use promo code SHIPIT, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. We've already done a couple live drafts, but we're going to do one more next week. So if you guys want to hop in with us, we'll share some strategies there and we'll build some teams so you guys can see how it goes if you haven't done it yet. But it's a great contest to get into. If you pay that $100, that gets you 5 entries. They will also match that 5 entries. And then when you draft 10 teams, they give you a free one. So it's really pay for 5, get 6 free. So no better deal out there. Go sign up over at Drafters. Don't forget to use promo code SHIPIT. All right, let's get into this 7-game afternoon slate. This is the largest afternoon slate of the season, but I'm going to knock it down to the 4-game slate that we are used to. There are 3 games where both teams have nothing to play for, so I'm just going to X those games out today, and they are the Chiefs at Chargers, Broncos at the Raiders, and then the Rams at the Niners. There might be a couple of players from these games that I end up using, but you can find my full player pool over at shipitnation.com, where I post all of my DFS content, and I will have notes on every player that I plan on using. So the first game that I care about is Seattle at Arizona. Seattle needs a win to get into the playoffs here, and they are 3-point favorites with a 25-point team total. The Cardinals can't make the playoffs, but they can play spoiler here against a division rival, so I expect them to play the starters. I am fine with some Kyler Murray exposure on this slate, but I would want to stack him with at least one of his guys. Those guys being Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, and then if I have to pay all the way down for a Rondale Moore at $3,900, I'm fine doing that as well. But my favorite target will be Trey McBride at tight end. He is $6K, and he is Kyler's favorite guy to look at. So I'll be going with McBride there. And then if I'm not using Kyler at quarterback, I'm definitely fine with James Conner here in a good matchup. He had 133 total yards and 2 touchdowns last week, so I'm fine going to him in this one. But I do prefer the running back on the other side of the ball with Kenneth Walker. He is in the nuts matchup, and they got to win to get in. So I like Walker, and I'm even fine stacking him up with Geno. But if I'm using Geno, then I want him stacked with at least 2 of his guys because he can't do as much as Kyler can with his legs, so he's going to have to get there with his arm. If I'm using Geno, then my favorite stack would be DK Metcalf at $7,200 if I can afford him. But if I can't afford him, then I'm fine going down to either or both Tyler Lockett and JSN. They're both solid prices here in a game that they have to win. So I like Geno stacked with 2 or more of his guys. And then they also have Noah Fant. He's $2,900. He's coming off his best game of the season. At $2,900, it could open up a lot for us on this slate. So I'm not against him either. But just I'm going to make a rule that it's 2 or more for all of my Geno lineups. All right. Next up is Chicago at Green Bay. The Packers need a win to make the playoffs, and they are 3-point favorites with a 24-point team total. The Bears can't make the playoffs, but they can play spoiler here, so I expect the starters to play. I really don't have a lot of interest in the Bears, though. It's really just Justin Fields and DJ Moore for me. Cole Kmet could be okay, I guess, if he plays, but I just don't see any reason to risk a re-injury for a pointless game. So it's probably just going to be Fields and more that end up making my player pool this week. The Packers are more in play for me, and Jordan Love has looked much better the last half of the season. I like him this week at $6,600, and if I am using him, then I am stacking him probably with exactly two guys. Christian Watson is still questionable with his hamstring injury, but if he plays, then I would expect that he is good to go without many limitations. So I'd be okay with Watson. We can also stack with Romeo Doubs. And then Tyler Kraft has had 4 straight games with double-digit fantasy points, so he is in play too. But my favorite Packers this week are going to be Jaden Reed, who's just a beast. I like him every week, but we do have to keep an eye on his status here. And then Aaron Jones, he has had 247 rushing yards the last 2 weeks, averaging 6 yards per carry. So I like Jones with or without Love this week. He's probably my second favorite Packer behind Reed. Next up is the Eagles at the Giants, and the Eagles are 5-point road favorites here, and they can get the number 2 seed with a win and a Cowboys loss. So I expect them to go all out. The Giants can't make the playoffs, but I am still interested in them with Tyrod Taylor playing for a job next year and coming off a 300-yard game. I'm fine playing Taylor here, and I'd want him stacked with at least one guy. I'm personally going to pass on Saquon Barkley this week. He's had just 1 week all season long where he's rushed for over 100 yards, so I'm just not looking to pay $6,900 for him. And what was a tough matchup before last week. I'm more interested in the passing game. I like Tyrod, and I am fine stacking him with any of his guys. Well, not any of them, I guess. Wan'Dale Robinson at 4,200 and Darius Slayton at 4K are my top 2 wide receivers. I really want to get one of them in, and I'm even fine with both of them. If I need to pay all the way down, I'd be okay with Jalen Hyatt at $3,300, but I'd really try to get away from that if I can. And then Darren Waller's only $4,700 in a good matchup. I might end up stacking Taylor with 2 of these guys, but I will make a rule that at least one of them goes along with Taylor. And then the Eagles are expensive, but Devontae Smith is out this week, so it narrows down the skill players for us. It's just going to be Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert for me. And then the last game I care about is the Cowboys at Washington. The Cowboys need to win to lock up the number 2 seed, and they're really the only team I care about in this game. They are 13.5-point road favorites, and they have the highest team total at 29.25. The only commander that I might end up rostering is going to be Terry McLaurin, and he is 54 yards shy of hitting the 1,000-yard mark on the year. So I do expect him to get there. Maybe he can get a handful of catches along the way. He could be a good run back option, but the Cowboys are the team I'm looking at stacking here. And my main target, it would be Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb. I mean, it's tough to afford $9,300, but he's coming off a 13-catch, 227-yard game. So he's going to be my favorite play on the slate if I can afford him. And if I'm using Dak Prescott at quarterback, then I'm going to make it a point to afford CeeDee Lamb here. I think Brandon Cooks is also in play at $5,200. He had 72 yards and a touchdown against this defense in week 12. So I don't mind him, but it would just be an add-on to Lamb probably if I'm using Dak at quarterback. And then Jake Ferguson is another really good stack option. He's only $4,900 at tight end, and I'm fine with double tight end this week if I need to go there. And then Tony Pollard has not been great this season, but his best game of the year was against this Washington defense, and he's only $6,500 here in a game that they're going to be trying to win. So I like Tony Pollard a lot this week with or without Dak. But that is about it for me. My full player pool will be posted over at SHIPITNation.com with notes on every player. All sports are included for one low price. You guys can play more and pay less. I'll be back next week, but if you guys can hit that like and subscribe button for us, it really helps out. Good luck on this afternoon game slate. I hope to see some Ship It logos up top. Thanks for listening. Go ship something.